Okay, I wanted to do a real quick video to start off 9.58 to make it go a little bit faster so you can do it at your own pace. A lot of you guys will catch on very quick to this, and then we're going to finish the lesson all together. So we got through all of those formulas where we're talking about angles and arcs in a circle. Now we're going to talk about an equation of a circle. So what this means is we know that there is an equation of a straight line, right? You guys did this in Algebra 1. We've done it before as well. That's the y equals mx plus b. Don't need to write this down. But this is to graph a straight line. So if I wanted to plot a straight line on a graph, that's the equation. There actually is one for a circle as well. So this is the general right here. You guys can circle this one. There's distance formula there. We don't need that one really. You can ignore the distance formula. We're focusing on the standard equation of a circle. So this is actually, again, in the same way that y equals mx plus b is for a line, this is for a circle. So a couple things we need to point out to you here. H comma k, if you can circle that and label it on that circle right there. This is what we call the center of the circle. Please label that on that little picture right there. So in the center of the circle, you find that in the equation. The h is with the x, the k is with the y. And again, you'll see that once we get into some examples there. And then r, that's our radius right there. We know that r is, again, let's label that radius. We should know that a radius is the distance from the center of the circle. It is not the full way across the circle, that's a diameter. It is just center to the outside, right? It's not the whole way through, just the part there. So this is pretty easy to work with to start with. It is going to get tricky tomorrow. But today, let's go ahead and look at example 1. We're going to start off by looking at this equation and finding the center and the radius. So we'll go ahead and look at example 1. So what you want to do is, let's go ahead and copy the formula. You see it right there at the top of your notes. I'm going to copy it right here as well. Here's the formula for an equation of a circle. That's x minus h, my mouse is a little bit funky today, sorry, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So take a second to go ahead and copy that. So this is something on your formula sheet. You see it actually right below. You have all your circle formulas. There's the equation of a circle formula as well. So our center is, again, and you see this on the formula sheet. Cut this out. Cannot do that. Thank you. No, thank you. There we go. Okay. So again, you can see that on the formula sheet, HK is the center. So I'm going to put center. And again, the center is found at H comma K. So let's look at our equation. Here is h. H goes with x. K goes with y. Now what I want you to notice is in the original equation, we have a minus sign, right? So h is just, in this case, because the formula is x minus h, and I have x minus 4, that means h is just 4. The equation itself has a negative. And so h is not negative 4 because a negative is just part of the formula. A way of remembering this is whatever it is in parentheses, it will be the opposite. So because I see negative 3 here for k, it's actually going to come out as a positive 3. Those parentheses make it opposite. You can think about it like that. And again, the reason why is the equation itself has a negative. So just the k is just the 3, not the negative. So that's going to be the center of our circle. That's going to be the point on the graph where the circle is centered around. Now, for the radius here, we have to be careful. Radius is just r. Now, notice at the back end of this equation, we have that r squared is 16. So this 16 is not r. That's r squared. So what you need to do for the radius is if r squared is 16, we need to solve for r. How do we get rid of a square root? How do we get rid of a square? We square root both sides. So take a second. You can pause, go to your calculator if you need to. What's the square root of 16? That's going to be 4. So that means is from the center to the outside of the circle is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. That's our answers for this question. There's our center, there's our radius. Let's go ahead and try it again on the next one. It says give the center and the radius of the circle. So again, my center is found at h comma k. We see that on the formula sheet. Our radius is just r. So let's look at this. I'm going to copy the formula again directly below this. Let's go ahead and do that. I have x minus h squared. I always recommend you do this. Plus y minus k squared equals r squared. There's our full formula. I'm just copying that. Now here's the thing. If h and k are what's with x and y, what's with x and y? Nothing, right? There's nothing with x and y. So what is nothing as a number? 0, right? So because there's nothing in parentheses with x and y, our center is actually 0, 0. So it's possible you might see a problem like this where it goes x squared, don't need to write this, plus y minus 1 squared. That means that the h is 0 and the k is 1. So again, if you do not see anything in parentheses, it's 0. But take a second to remember, we need just r for the radius, and we have that r squared is 4. We have that r squared is 4. Write down, what does that make? Just the radius. Well, if I square root both sides, that makes the radius just 2. Okay, there's one more we're going to try all together, but I want to give those 2, and then we'll try all together number 3. So if you guys can skip to number 4, take a second and skip to number 4. We'll try number 3 together when we come back. Okay, so you will also have questions where you are given the circle on the graph. So this is the graph of the circle. It says give the center and the radius of the circle. So we're still doing the same thing. We're still saying center equals, we're still saying radius equals. Now we know that again, if I was given an equation, the center is h comma k. And I'm going to write that just so we don't forget. And the radius is just r. But when you're looking at a picture, you just find them, right? The center is the dot right in the center. So my answer is, what is that coordinate point? Take a second. What are the points, the coordinates for that point? Well, I've got negative 1, 2, 3, so negative 3. That's a 3. And a positive 2. So there's my h and there's my k. They would go into those spots if I was asked to write the equation. Now the radius, again, careful, radius is always center to the circle itself. Center to circle, that's radius. So put your finger on the center, sorry. Now this is how a circle works. You can count in any direction to get to the circle, and that's the radius. Now because we're on a graph though, you can only count up and down or side to side. I can't go like 1, 1.5. You can't do that, yeah? You cannot count diagonally on a graph. So I'm just going to count 1, 2. There's my radius. You just count it. It is 2. It's not a point. It is the length of that. So again, I wanted to crank those out in the video so that when we come back together, we can move very quickly to finish this up, and hopefully you're able to get all this assignment done today. This is an easy assignment. We're going to come back together and do those couple that we skipped, and then you guys have the rest of the time to work.